Hello and welcome. This is Asterix and the Laurel Wreath. I am Hissy, and that over there is Godless Scummer. And as Wondering put it last week, these streamers are crazy. If you are in the chat, thank you for joining us. I can see we've got a few. We've got Godless Granny, who was, yes, you were first. And we've got Crit, woof to you. And let's see, who else have we got? A bit of tea and Danish, Highlander, and Ring. Hi, hubby. I think that's everyone who's there at the moment. But if you are lurking or if you're watching this in future, you're more than welcome, and we're happy to have you with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. So this should be a nice. This one should be a nice change of pace after last week. Even though last week's one was fun, we had the issues with that, but less said about that the better. But
yeah,
so
bit of tech issues, bit of other stuff going off as well, but we are carrying on as hopefully as normal today, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
So let's start off. I like this one. This one amuses me.
Yeah.
There's some really nice in-jokes and just some really nice, a little bit of satire going on, I think, in this one, which is really quite interesting.
Yeah. Which is,
I'm sure we will discuss in some depth.
Which we talked a bit about satire last week on another stream, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, and I happen to know that there's a stream after us discussing quite a famous satire. Which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit later on when we send you over there at the end. So, if you're interested in that, stick around. The Gauls in this situation are not resting on their laurels, Ring. They're doing the exact opposite, which is what most of the humour comes from. So, what did you think, Jeff?
I enjoyed this one. I'm sure I have read it before, but been like again, a lot of these, it's been years. So, but yeah, I quite enjoyed this. Some quite interesting little pokes at Roman slavery, and which I thought was interesting. Yeah, it was rather interesting. It very much reminded me of like a Monty Python thing before Monty Python. Really, it's
Yeah. And I think with this one, I think this is the first time where I kind of struggle to see the Romans as the bad guys.
Yeah.
Or, quote unquote bad guys. But that sort of goes along with Caesar, doesn't it? And the fact that he's very rarely shown as being a nasty piece of work. He's just Caesar. He's just there. Yeah. He's fairly reasonable as a person. So it's an interesting change, but we'll see how it goes, because I think we're getting to the point now where the Gauls are a little bit more comfortable with causing some kerfuffle with the Romans rather than just defending themselves from it.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting turnabout. And I think with that, we're about ready to go.
Okie doke, right, so obviously on the intro, let's get to the first page. Okay. Straight away, what a lovely drawing of Rome there.
Yeah, I adore this. This is a really, it's intricate, it's damn close to accurate as well. It's, I've got, for a comic book, and again, we keep saying this, Aderzo's got a real skill for drawing landscapes and maps.
Really absolutely. So we start off here. We got this another stuff. See, because this is weird, because we normally start in the village or somewhere close to it. Here we're starting written the greatest city in the universe, Rome.
Yeah.
And So, by Caesar's decree, traffic is not allowed for the streets in daytime. City is incredibly noisy, crowded with shopkeepers and street sellers. They're all trying to sell their fruit and veg here, or cakes and sweets, fish. A few
Yeah.
beggars on the street here. I won't quite go down to the bottom one, but there's tourists here as well.
Yeah.
I'll show the little bubble, but I'm not showing the image. But it's
Yeah.
but I like the
So
fact that here's the Circus Maximus in like several different languages here.
yeah. So it's a
In
bit
fact,
of a tourist office going on now.
but as we go to the next page, look who's in Rome.
That's unusual.
Yes. Asterix, says, do you think coming here may have been and I love this. And he says, look at the way he says this, exactly, Obelix, you were perfectly right. And you do remember by any chance how we came to come here. Exactly, you know perfectly well. Asterix is a bit frustrated with Obelix. We're going to find out why in a bit.
Yeah, this is it's an interesting introduction because it's very different to the ones we've had previously. It's not such a straightforward narrative structure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Aether Tales. Is that Aether Tales in the chat? I apologise if I've mangled that pronunciation. I am dyslexic. We're all here for the classic comics, and you are more than welcome to join us.
Yeah, cool. Okie doke. So what we got here is a little flashback, and we're going back to something else which claims to be the greatest city in the universe, Leticia. And again, wonderful landscape and city drawing. You just don't know Leticia. This is where modern day Paris is.
Yeah.
So we have covered that before, but this is kind of this is Paris. In fact, what will become Paris eventually.
Yeah, or at least sort of central Paris.
Yeah.
Because I think Paris sort of spread out a bit further than that after a while, didn't it?
Ever so slightly. I might have actually preferred Paris back then. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like, again, it's a lovely city, but if you've been there, it's kind of, I suppose, a bit like London. I can take it for a couple of days or something most, and I just want to get out of there.
I think the only capital city I've ever been to that I didn't just want away from after a couple of days was Rome. So
yeah, I've only been to Rome for a day anyway, so not long enough to really. So
yeah,
and we go straight to this again. Despite the fact that traffic is forbidden in the streets of Leticia, noisy and careful, but cheerful thanks to the inspired repartee typical of the Letician sense of humour. And they're all like, idiot, fool, moron.
Just arguing in the streets. I do love that it's drawing that comparison between Paris and Rome. It's
They obviously have a lot of. It seems to be every time they've shown like a comic where it's visited this city, they have a bit of fun with traffic jams.
Yeah,
so, they do have a bit of fun here. Now, if we take a little closer look, we see Chief Vital Statistics is here with Asterix and Obelix, and of course his wife Impedimenta. And he's the typical husband. He's been dragged on the shopping trip by his wife. Frustrated. But now it's getting even worse. They said, look here, Impediment, coming to Leticia to do shopping is one thing, but going to see Homeopathics is another. Because we found that Homeopathics is Impedimenta's brother, who Vital Statistics does not care for very much at all. So he does not like her brother at all.
To be fair, I wonder why he even likes her, because she's nasty. She's just
Oh,
mean.
she absolutely has him henpecked. Totally, she's in charge of this.
Yeah.
But
this comment,
it's like,
they're carrying her shopping for her. They're guarding her husband, and she's got the nerve. This is.
why do
I
they have to
immediately
come
stopped
along?
liking her when she passed that comment. She's a snob. She irritates me.
Yeah. And she's like, yeah, my brother's got to the top. He has his wife doesn't live in a village of madmen surrounded by Romans. It's like you've married a chief, for goodness sake, you know. And as he points out, I may have not got to the top, but I am a chief, and a chief needs his escorts, and Asterix and Obelix are my best men, my guard of honor. And it's like they're carrying her shopping as well. You know?
So basically, yeah, that's a good. I like this. Yeah, Ring's got a point. He wears the pants, but she picks them out.
Yeah.
Literally in this case.
She says which pair. Yeah.
She and her brother is essentially a glorified chemist. This is what he is.
Which is hence the name homeopathics.
Yeah.
Like that. Little pediment, and not, and it's what, and his wife Tapioca. In fact, it's, you know, like my sister and what's his name have arrived. What do you mean? What's his name? So you can see that Vital Statistics does not like this guy at all, and you can kind of see why after a little. It doesn't take you long to see why he doesn't like him.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the guy's household, he's very nouveau riche. All the money, none of the taste, I think, is a fair top.
Yeah, kind of bit of a almost a bit of a yuppie before yuppies were a thing.
Yeah, you know? That's what I was going. Yeah.
But this is my dear chat. Where am I going to put those menhirs of yours that you really want me to tell you? Yeah. So that's enough implied there. I've redecorated the whole place, getting tired of the country stuff, you know. Try some of the 55 BC from our own vineyards. It's a modest or unpretentious little wine. I hope you like it. And there we go. This is kind of the start of the trouble in a sense there.
Yeah, because I do like the comment where the brother says, starts talking about how his business is expanding, but he won't travel because if he's sick of Paris, then he's sick of life. And Vital Statistics turns to Obelix and says, "Let's have some more of the wine. At least that's modest and unpretentious." Which is
yes,
just,
so we're trying to think, see where you are here. Compare it, but yeah, they're bringing out all the blooming all the big all this, you know, gourmet food here and whatever. And look, you don't impress me with your cow hooves mold. You're just making pigs out of yourselves. Yeah, well, at least I can bring home the bacon. And his own wife has a go at him here. More wine, please.
And she's like, yeah.
You know, I may not have your money, but I have a guard of honor instead. And how does that provide you, you know? So you can see that he thinks he really is. He thinks he's the big I am, this guy, because he's doing well for himself. Like, I got money. I live in the big. I got money. I live in the big smoke. You're just a you're from the back, you're from the
Europeans
backwater.
rebunking, yeah.
Yeah, you know, uh, no one or two people like this. They're absolute dickheads.
Yeah.
I actually do know people that have been like this.
For the Americans in the audience, it's, stereotypical sort of New Yorker meets someone from Hicksville, USA.
Yeah,
It's that,
yeah.
and it's thinking they're better, thinking they've, it's just different.
Certain people. Certain people whose names I won't mention who think they're something special because they live in London,
Don't get me started.
Yeah.
Do not get me started. I just,
And but anyway, as you can see here, because to get through this, they are having a bit of the wine. Honor and glory is a lot more than your cout. We say the fowls coot. So you can see you can see it's the wine starting to get to him. I'll give he says, you come to my village, I'll give you a meal that money could never buy. And what exactly is this gourmet meal going to consist of? A stew out of this world, seasoned with Caesar's laurel wreath. So you can see where this is going already. That this whole thing, this whole thing, yeah, this is a pissing contest with poor Asterix here. He's spouts what you learn or and take no notice. He's had too much. It's all right. It's all very amusing. All right. You'll see. Wait, you'll see. And then Obelix, exactly. What's his name? He's perfectly right. Let me give the Asterix. We're going to Rome to bring back Caesar's laurel wreath. Exactly.
Caesar's laurel wreath.
Yeah.
I know a few people who talk like that when they're drunk, and it is amusing because they don't realize it. Yeah.
And yeah, so this guy he's accepted the bet here now. So since you're this big head warrior of yours is so clever, I'll accept this. Right, I have his word of honor that it will really be Caesar's laurel wreath in the stew, don't I?
That's perfectly right.
Yeah, poor Asterix here. I feel very sorry for Asterix in this situation.
Yeah, I've put this comment up from Ring because this amuses me. Maybe he thinks the chief's name is Backwater Hicks.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
So outside now, you can see that his wife's got the hump with him. I've never been so humiliated. You drunk and blah blah blah. And
everyone's seen this happen at least once. You've been out to the pub and you've seen this. Yeah.
And even Asterix is telling him, actually, your wife's quite right. This was a ridiculous thing to believe. That was a ridiculous thing to actually challenge him to. But of course, Asterix is then ordered by him. You didn't, you can bring back Caesar's laurel wreath, and exactly. And then they're like, this is the two men doing the bromance thing here when they had too much
sleep. That's going to be a hell of a hangover.
Yeah. So, which brings us back to where we were earlier in the comic. For they're in Rome. Asterix is not happy camper at all. It's all your fault, and I've got this golden magic potion that Gedifix had given me before. It's not much for this kind of expedition. And even obviously, you're right. I did have a drop too much to drink. Still, it won't be all that difficult. We march into Caesar's palace, pick up the laurel wreath, go back home. Simple. It's like, oh, perfect. And again, another brilliant. This is Caesar's palace. And another brilliant drawing of buildings there, the Durzo.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's let's have a look.
Hmm.
That to me looks like the modern sort of the Senate building backs onto it. It looks
Yeah.
like the modern Senate building, the plaza for that.
Yes. Very. Yeah. Does actually look very similar to the modern like Parliament building actually.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah. So Obelix's plan is just let's go in there, bash them, take the, and Asterix is a little bit more cautious about this. Oops, all right, put my camera back on. Yeah, he's being a little bit more cautious about this. Like, and saying, look, we get our, he said those legionaries in there are a bit tougher than the lot we're used to, and the magic potion, doesn't make us invulnerable. We got to think of something else. So you see this man coming out of the palace. Thought they're going to follow him and find out, who he is and see how they get in and ask, so they ask him a few questions. Says he's a bit busy, but Asterix offers to take him for a drink.
Yeah.
So, what do we think we ought to see in Rome? And, always interesting places to visit here. Caesar's Palace, for instance. Could we see? And he said, "Oh no, he's like, you can't just go into Caesar's Palace. You just came out. This is." He points out that he's one of the slaves working in the palace kitchens. And
yeah, and I will say, Greek slaves in Rome, yeah. I think Greek slaves in Rome, I think, didn't they prefer North African slaves for chefs?
I have no idea.
It's very much in the same way, sort of, in modern, French chefs or this, certain countries are kind of known for producing the best in the world at X thing.
Yeah.
Kind of like that there was a little bit of that going on. The best chefs are from, I think, probably Phoenicia at the time. And this question Obelisk asks about the stews is interesting because a lot of Roman cooking was stews.
Yes.
And it's it's meat, water, herbs and spices.
Yeah,
With
just throw
vegetables.
just throw it all in the pot, I'm sure, and cook it up.
Yeah, pretty much sort of casseroles and stuff. I mean, you had your sort of high class, your swallows and your other stuff that was done for fancy events, but day to day cooking, stew and a bit of bread.
Yeah.
Olives and bread for sort of breakfast or a light meal. If you want something with meat in it, stew and bread.
But I love this. But I'll we get a little comp thing of where a lot of this is going to go. And it's, hey, I'm from Greece, top quality. I cost cost a pretty sestertius, I can tell you. So he's basically saying this is a slave. He's worth a lot of money.
Mm.
So we're going to get. And well, I wouldn't like to think we were boring you, but I do really have to work like a slave, So he's got to be going. And I think I have an idea how to get us into Caesar's palace. We're a bit of luck here. Let's lay hands on this. And Obelix, exactly. Obelix is drunk again. Such a big guy. He can't handle his booze, can he?
Yeah, which is weird for someone his size.
Yeah. We saw this a couple of weeks ago. Well,
I think
was it in Switzerland? He got absolutely paralytically drunk.
Yeah, I think his problem is though that he doesn't water his wine.
Mm.
He drinks it neat, which is their wine was very strong, and they did water it down something like 3-1.
Yeah. Romans were known for their love of the wine. They were wine, weren't they? They were known more for like, being wine drinkers than say beer drinkers. So, so the idea the idea they've come up with here is that they're going to get themselves. They're actually going to get themselves sold into slavery to try and get themselves into Caesar's palace. And we go here to the slave market, and I'm sure this is not quite how they slaves love this. Who buy my nice fresh goths, heavy duty nimble hoplites,
Yeah,
dancing girls, Belgians, Numidians. And then we get right to this guy here, House of Typhus, luxury slaves.
Okay, so just on this, the sort of annual income on average, I am going on numbers based off the Augustan period, just because that's what we have. About 900 sesterces. I can never say that word, sesterce. Sorry. Annually, average slave anywhere between 5,500 to 6,500. For a Gallic girl, there's a record of a Gallic girl sold for 2,400. These are all around the time of sort of the eruption at Pompeii, so about 100 years after this. So you've got to account for inflation and what have you. But to give you an idea, an inner city apartment would only be about 40. The weekly rent.
You're kind of seeing who can afford to have slaves here and who can't.
Yeah. So it's not cheap.
Certainly in this period. I mean, and again, I think like any commodity, though, like it's just horrible to even talk about human beings in that respect, but that's just what it could very much vary depending on the market. I mean, in the sort of towards some of the later periods, like Gothic slaves, were, being sold for like, being literally swapped for meat and stuff. It was one time because when a lot of Goths tried to migrate into the empire, a lot of them willingly sold themselves into slavery and almost devalued themselves as slaves. It's and I like the whole thing is like, would you like to see the catalogue here? This is Typhus, the slaves dealer, coming out at the bottom here.
I will say as well, I do understand why it's drawn the way it is, because this is a children's comic.
Yeah.
Roman slave markets, the slaves would have been totally starkers.
Yes.
People buying would have been encouraged to approach them, feel their muscles, check their teeth, stuff like that. It's the closest I can probably compare it to is picking best in show at Crufts.
Yeah.
And with a lot more noise and a lot more viciousness. Slaves, for example, people would haggle over slaves while they were stood there. If a slave had been recently whipped, they'd haggle the price down because this one misbehaves. Bad teeth were always a sign of bad health.
I mean, it's the sad thing is, it's just
The
sad thing is, you think about this ancient culture. This is very similar to the South in the United States, though, 150 years ago as well.
It was totally commodified. There was no humanity in it whatsoever.
This was but he said, look, we don't want to buy, we want to sell. He says, well, what are you offering to sell? He said, us. He says, I don't go buying any old thing. He said, well, we're not any old thing. This one smells of wine, which is Obelix, because he has been drinking. So he's like, so this guy very, very much fancies himself as a, seller of the very finest slaves. Oh well, yes, he indulges once in a while. He is very Asterix points out he's very strong. Show us how strong you are, Obelix. Whack. But I specialise in elegant stuff. I'm expecting Palace Major Domo at any minute. Let me tell you, he's coming here to buy some slaves. He says, I'm very strong too. Do you want me to show you how? He's like, no, don't. I'm fine. And I love this. I'll take you, but only on sale or return. If I don't sell you today, you can go somewhere else and get sold. So putting them up there on the platform here, and you see the very fine sort of male specimen they've got here.
Yeah.
Who's yeah.
I think this is about as close as it can go in a children's comic. But yes, slaves were also sold for those particular uses that you are thinking of. And yeah, there was no bodily autonomy at all. They were told and they did.
Yeah.
Which, again, I appreciate this is a kid's comic. They've had to tone it down, but they've kept a lot of the implications. Which...
Well, this, yeah.
And in a lot of ways, that makes this more accurate than a lot of media I've seen around Roman slavery.
But this guy here, he's like, must be the way he's demeaning to Asterix and Obelix here. He's like, must be a remnant day, only an advertising gimmick. Who just junk. And he's like, who's junk? You are, you second-hand piece of goods. And if Asterix warns him, you'll be flawed if you're not careful. Shut up, you free gift. Bang.
Yeah.
And where do you think you are? Don't disturb the display. You saw that. My friend's strong too. And we've got this British slave here. I say, jolly good show, old boy. So shut up, Britain, or I'll sell you at a discount.
Yeah. This whole thing, obviously, I can see the joke they're making. So far as I'm aware, I don't think it would have been something that was of a particular source of pride for Roman slaves to care how much they sold for. It was more their position in the household. There was a strict hierarchy, which follows on to Caesar's major domo appearing. For those who don't know, the major domo, the head slave, the household, the person who runs the household.
I mean, it seems again, I can make some comparisons to, America, South in America in like the 1800s. There's some comparisons that can be made there. I mean, generally there was sometimes a little bit of resentment between like the sort of slaves that worked in the fields picking the cotton and those that worked in the house, kind of sort of serving the master kind of thing.
Yeah, but I have particular issue with that,
which is actually parodied quite well in that Tarantino movie Django Unchained, actually, which is it's a bit of a parody of it, but it is, Yeah,
and I do think as well, actually, there's kind of a colorist attitude of, in America, it was lighter skinned slaves served in the household. Okay, but they're all still enslaved. So
yeah, I mean,
there is some sort of internal issues at the moment with people of color, potentially being divided over it. But at the end of the day, if you're out in the field being flogged, it's not any better or any worse to be in the household skivvying around and being, told to open your legs whenever the man upstairs feels like it.
But I mean, it was
it is what it is.
I suppose in a certain way, though, always you got a big population of slaves, especially they might even outnumber you in certain cases, which is sort of the case in the South. In a lot of cases, did sometimes pay to play them off against one another if you could. So, it's always a sensible policy, I suppose, when you've got a population you're trying to control.
Yeah, play them off against each other, and then they don't realise where the actual issues are.
Yeah. It doesn't have to necessarily apply to slavery either, that. So, but you look at this there, his whole blooming display's been destroyed now. And surprisingly, he thinks he's been ruined here. He says, "How much are those 2 ghouls?" He's like, "You want to buy them?" He says, "Yeah, I think they're quite amusing." Of course he wants to buy us. He'll be making a good deal, won't he, Obelix? So he said, "That depends. How much do you cost? Name your price. He'll take it." Because he just wants to get rid of them. Oh, go on now. Do name your price. 5 sesterti the pair, all right? So wait a minute. Whoa. And I love the Britain here. I say this is ridiculous. Selling at a price like that will devalue the whole stock. How about 6 then? And then the dealer, he can't get his word in edgeways. And I love the Britons here. 10. Britons shall never cut price slaves. That's a little Rule Britannia joke. I love the Rule Britannia inference, that little joke at that. Yeah. I feel it's the slight kind of funny. You actually end up feeling a bit sorry for a slave dealer, isn't it? But
it's just
So they've got an owner. He'll follow him home, and so they're hoping they're getting into Caesar's palace. They don't quite realise they've been bought by someone else. It's nothing to do with Caesar's palace. Here we are.
And again, of quite an accurate depiction of a Roman house.
Yeah.
Especially from the inside. Also, if anyone's ever seen, because this is something, a slight tangent, but it's interesting because we've got it there. You see this bath in the middle of the floor here.
Yeah.
This is a distinctly Roman thing. So if you ever see it in films or anything about ancient Greece, it's wrong. This is a very Roman thing. It's basically a dunk pool. It's so that's what that's there for. You'd be surprised how many Roman houses had running water to them. There is evidence at Pompeii of a full-on water system with each house having a water supply in certain areas.
Yeah.
Obviously, the pipes were all made of lead, so don't drink it. But a lot more advanced than you would think.
Well, I think they generally had like the fountains, didn't the public fountains for drinking water? I think, but
they had the public fountains in the street. But I'm also saying a lot of houses would have had an individual supply. Because you can see it if you look at some of the houses in Pompeii, you can see where the pipes have been run up the side of the house.
Well, you got to also remember that the current sewer system in Rome is very much based upon it. I mean, it's still like the ancient sewers are still in use in Rome.
Yeah, the Cloaca Maxima is still in use, I think.
That's how good Roman plumbing was. Roman
or at the very least Roman building. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably the word I was looking for. Their engineering, the fact that a large part of the actual sewers the Romans built are still in use today.
Yeah.
But yeah, rings point out their names: fibula, tibia,
Fibula and
yeah,
tibia. Yeah.
yeah.
So.
And so they were like, oh, so they're looking at these slaves and thinking, oh, I thought they'd be a nice surprise. They're rather amusing, you know. Oh well, I'm going back to see if I can get a bit of sleep. Okay.
Yes, that is the correct word for a bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, just checking that.
I certainly
find yourself in my black book.
Yeah.
If you don't want it.
And so this isn't Caesar's. He's like, oh no, we're not in Caesar's palace. No, this is my house. You know, this is my house. There's nothing to do. You know, so he's just a wealthy Roman.
Yeah.
This is my wife Fibula, my daughter Fibula. Yeah.
Nitwit of a son Metatarsus.
Yeah.
I wonder if they claim they're descended from Achilles.
Quite.
But yeah, Roman houses that looked, you know, very, very opulent were very similar, if not as opulent as the Emperor's palace.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a thing. And as Ring put it, yes, leave it to the Italians to be great plumbers. Nerdy thinks you can't buy Obelix. I can't, but I bet if I offered him enough bar, I could.
I think, yeah. I think there's a. To be honest, though, I know Hissy. She's not gonna buy Obelix. She's gonna buy Dogmatics, if anything.
Yeah. I don't have to buy Dogmatics. I just have to hold out a bone, and Dogmatics will come.
Yeah.
Because puppy.
Yeah. And Golden Delicious. Now they're introducing him. He is the major domo here, the head slave. So he's gonna so take them to the kitchen. They're there to help prepare our meals. So that's kind of what they've been assigned to. Yeah. And this is all yours, you two precious works of art. I'm not, you know, I'm not a work of art from the house of Typhus. Not so he knows where they've got them from, and it's like I'm not fragile like you. Well, I'm a you know. That Roman's crazy. This is the first time anyone ever told me I was fragile. Obelix. So they've realised they've got a bit of a mistake here. They need to get out of this. No, we're slaves. If we run away, we'll never get another chance of getting into Caesar's palace. So their whole thing is we're going to get them to return them to the slave dealer. And he says, just like people who buy your menes and bring them back because they're not satisfied, Obelix, all my customers are satisfied. But your menes don't do the cooking.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. We'll make them. So they decide they're going to have a little bit of fun with the cooking here. Here you go: jam, black peppercorn, salt, kidneys, garlic, soap, chicken, honey, red peppers, black pudding, eggs, pomegranate seeds. I found some more red peppers and black peppercorns. So, how about
I mean,
the chicken?
hold the
Shall I pluck
carbolic
it?
soap, please, but
Yeah.
Hold the carbolic and hold the pomegranate, and that could make a reasonable stew. But
Yeah. But I love this. How about the chicken? Shall I pluck it? Why bother?
yeah,
See, nearly done. And so you come in here. I'm going to see what kind of high class cuisine you've cooked. It's the Major Domo here. You see the gradual
explosion. I think.
explosion and then soap bubbles at the end of it.
Yeah.
Marvelous, marvelous. You'll be crucified. You may come from the house of Typhus, but you'll still be crucified. I was afraid you might put me out of a job, but no fear of that. Come on, you lot. I wonder if I've overdone it a bit too. Oh well, too late now. You wouldn't let me have a. You wouldn't let me have a taste. I never ever get a taste. It's like Obelix. It's like we're trying to make them ill here. You know.
Poor Obelix.
And so they're going to bring the meal into the Romans here. This meal was cooked by my two ghouls from the House of Typhus. You'll eat it, you'll like it. So when his son, so the Major Domo here thinks he's going to, and then they're like, "Where are they? Where are they?" So he thinks like they think, "Great, we're going to be out of this soon." And the son likes it. He only likes it. It's a miraculous. It's cured me like a shot.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it kind of makes sense why the father treats his son the way he does.
It's a hangover cure. It's cured his hangover. I'll be able to spend all night being drinking and merrying with my friends in the knowledge that next day I'll wake up, you cook me this thing, and you make me. So he brings them into the then say how good it is. What a wonderful recipe, and glad you liked it, my boy. But it's a little bit strong. We won't ask the ghouls to do any more cooking except on a special occasions. Let's go to bed. Says, I don't understand. How could they have liked it? Oh, have I skipped a page here? Well, no, I haven't. Good.
No, you haven't.
Okay. But there's the Major Domo. You may have got away uncrucified, but I'll have you thrown to the lions. Yet they don't often taste choice tidbits in the House of Typhus. Poor things.
I just yeah.
Does seem to be a common little thing in this. Is the thrown to the lions thing, isn't it? Is always a So they'll keep it. Well, so they decide they're going to keep what they're going to do next to try and get out of this. Is they're going to keep the Romans awake, not let them get a good night's sleep. We need something. Let's make a loud noise. Let's try the kitchen. Couldn't we just make a loud noise by snoring? Because Obelix just wants to sleep. And they just start banging on the pots and pans and whatever, drumming away. So what's going on? So we're just ghouls. It's in our blood. We have to make a merry night. Master, would you like me to have them whipped? Whip slaves to the house of Typhus. Do you think ghouls grow on trees?
Right. Slaves and whipping. There was a law, or there was a rule, and again, this is information from Pompey. If a slave was flogged, they could never be a citizen, even if they were freed.
Yeah.
So, and flogging was usually a very public thing, and it would leave scars.
Yeah.
So if essentially when you have a slave flogged, you're essentially destroying any opportunity they have to build a life for themselves on the off chance you ever free them. So it's not just an immediate pain, it's a serious stigma that sticks. So it's not something to be done lightly.
Yeah. Interesting. I didn't know that, actually. I mean, I actually did not know that.
That's something I picked up on from watching a documentary about Pompeii at some point. So
what's all that noise? He said, is this the sort of hour you choose to come in, you distant boy? So he's been out partying again. Oh yes, let's have fun. Let's like the ghouls. I'll go and find my friends. They can't be too far. And it's like it's like let's have a surprise orgy like when we were young. It's like light the lamps, fetch your wine, musicians, window. This is like all their efforts here to try and actually annoy these Romans are backfiring on them.
Yeah.
I say, Asterix, do you think we could resell these Romans?
Again, Uderzo and his buildings.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this comes from the other house, like clean up the place.
Send for concert to shave? No.
Yeah, no. Tell those other idiots if they come on making all that noise, I'll just sell them off. May I remind you that you have an important engagement at the palace this morning? So am I to tell them you're ill? Oh no. Send the ghoulish slaves. So they've supplanted me, so they're going to the palace instead of me. Right, I've got an idea. This guy doesn't like Asterix and Obelix, so because he thinks they're going to take his place. So they're getting themselves all sorted out for the day. So the Masters wants to see them in the tablinum or the study. We had a good time last night. I'm feeling a little tired. Need you to go to the palace and tell them I'm indisposed. Caesar's palace. Yeah, ask. So they're off to the palace. Look who's coming back from the palace here. What a stroke of luck by Mercury. So we're giving up on the idea of buying ourselves back. No, we don't need to. We've got a good excuse now to get into Caesar's palace. Once inside, we'll find a way to gather Caesar's laurels. Well, pity, I should have liked to buy us. We would have made a nice souvenir to take home from our trip. And so they're going up to the palace. Come up here on behind them. Oh, you're looking for this guy going in here. And then he sort of sniggers behind their back. So go in there. Does he know we're expecting? Hold it there, ghouls. So
let's say typical. So this other slave has quite clearly dropped them in it.
Yes.
And
yeah.
And poor Asterix, he didn't even want it. He didn't even get drunk and cause this. Like, ugh. But they think he's tried to assassinate Julius Caesar.
Yeah.
So off to the prison Asterix and Obelix go.
Yep.
I like this. Do you have designs on our head of state? Only on what's on it.
Yeah, the wreath.
Just be clear and say no and be done with it.
Yeah, indeed. Don't understand, Asterix. Why are we letting them treat us like this? You mean they're only Romans after all? This is wonderful. We're in the palace tonight, and we can, we get out of our cell and have a little look round for the reef at our own leisure. So during the middle of the night, he pops open the door like usual. I love this. They just walk round the palace now, quietly, just one by one, slapping out all the Romans. Let's have a little look. And looking around the palace, and they can't find it. So when are we going to get some sleep? So we'll go back to our cell. We'll carry on tomorrow night. So they think they've got an escape on their hands because they've got all these knocked out slaves and that, and prisoners have escaped. And they only then go down to find them. Very much back in their cell. You Romans must be crazy. Is there no way of us getting any sleep round here? Well, you hadn't escaped? Says, no, shut the door and get that lock repaired. I like it.
Yeah, it's all just it's nice. It's classic comedy of errors, isn't it? You can almost see this as a Laurel and Hardy sketch.
Yeah. And they can see that they can see these two, the Asterix and Obelix, are problems. They're like they've picked some of the guards think they're like wizards or druids or something, and that there's something really, or they're strange and terrible gods. I was waiting for Caesar to return, but he helped. So he's got an idea. He's just trying to figure out. We've got to get rid of him somehow. And I love the fact you got this lawyer coming in now.
And this lawyer and his speech, we only hear the first line of it repeatedly. But Delenda Escartago is not a great way to start a legal defense. Can we just?
Yes.
Especially a legal defense under Caesar. Just yeah. I just
Well, I love this. You're going to be getting us free. He says, no, you must be joking. Lots of wild animals have arrived in the circus. They've nothing substantial in their teeth for a while. So, I mean, he's effectively more or less admitting this is a show trial, what's about to happen to him. So, bring the ghoulish wizards before the court. So the delator, which is the prosecutor, is to speak now, and he says, he's told them not to worry.
And they've both come up with the same speech.
I was going to, so they were going to, yeah.
So teaching oration in ancient Rome was actually it's a bit of a joke on how it was taught, because they learn things parrot fashion, and B, it was very structured, was oration, and very specific. So two people coming up with the same start to a speech are probably if they're both looking to play to the crowd,
plausible. Yeah, quite plausible. Now, as I was saying, and then he's like, I would like a adjournment in order to reconsider my defense, because he's read the same thing. Silence in the court, he says, objecting to the defense counsel's request. And Asterix is getting a little bit fed up with this. He just wants on with this now. Silence, or I'll have the court clear. And
even to the point where Asterix is now pleading that the poor animals must be hungry.
yeah. Will you allow us? You'll see these two you allow this. You see before you two foreigners of doubtful reputation, who have abused the good faith and of an honest and reputable slave dealer. And even Typhus is tearing up. He's in the crowd there.
It's a beautiful oration, is that?
Yeah. Two foreigners who have deceitfully infiltrated a family of highly respected in the city with the sole aim of finding a pretext for a cowardly attempt on the life of the illustrious person of Caesar. And you waste your time in futile arguments and endless speeches. I say no, judges. I say no. Throw them to the lions, I say.
And then, of course, and may Caesar himself, wearing the laurel wreath he so richly deserves, witness the feasting of these harmless animals.
Yeah.
Whose fangs will thus become the mighty sword of imperial justice. That is the case for the prosecution.
Yeah. It's almost like the crucifixion, you lucky bastard. Isn't it?
A little bit.
Isn't it? I find the accused guilty and sentence them to be thrown in the lions in the Circus Maximus. And not exactly a classic summing up, but, those animals are very, very lucky. And I think that, I don't know if quite that this actually happened, but it's kind of like there's the old little custom of the last meal for the condemned here a little bit, isn't there?
Yeah, a little bit going on. Not entirely sure, to be honest.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known.
I would have thought they'd have fed them. And I know they didn't feed the animals for obvious reasons.
Yes.
Other than that, your guess is as good as mine.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't know. I mean, generally, I'm imagining, because a lot of the times with the like I said, throwing, using the wild animal, throwing people to wild animals in Rome, generally something for criminals. I think we're mainly thrown in for that. So
I mean, in this case, they've got a point, because the being thrown from the Tarpeian Rock was the sentence for treason.
Yeah.
Sorry, my words are not working today. It was the sentence for treason, and therefore it would make sense that they would have been thrown from the rock. But if the Romans need a show, that's
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, and I think from what I've heard as well, that a lot of the time that this sort of thing of like throwing the criminals to lions was something from what I've heard, it took place more at the Circus Maximus than the Colosseum anyway. But obviously this is set before the Colosseum's even built. But
yeah. So the Circus Maximus, as I said in an earlier stream, yes, they would have had things like this go on, but when you're talking about when it's not criminals with gladiators, it would have been highly stylized and highly choreographed.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the Circus Maximus, in order to really make a show on a stage like that work, for all of the audience, it's got to be highly choreographed.
Yeah.
So yes, they would have thrown people to the lions there, but the majority of it, when it's actual shows, would have been.
Yeah, I mean, Circus Maximus is probably most famous for chariot racing, but there's a lot more than. I mean, even though the Colosseum was definitely catered more towards gladiatorial games, and then of course later you had the Circus of Domitian built as well, which I think was generally more like athletic contests, almost like Olympic Games type of contests.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, so eventually, yeah. So there were a number of amphitheaters built in, like theaters and circuses built in Rome. Circus, but the Circus Maximus was like I suppose, for all the talk of the Colosseum, I mean, the Circus Maximus would have been like the Wembley Stadium of Rome. That was the big one. So let's move on. And see again, the drawings here, the packed Circus Maximus, they're really quite amazing drawings here. And here come the lions, tigers, leopards there, and a lot
Panther.
a lot of big cats. Your turn now at last. Yeah. So this is you're a real professional. I need a great for sort of details like this. Because he said he's made himself. He said Asterix drunk some of the potions. Say, I'm going to make. It's going to make me really taste nice for the animals. So he's almost getting an applaud here. So what a pity Caesar isn't here himself for this performance. He's like, oh dear, what do you mean? Caesar's not here. Oh, he's fighting a campaign against pirates, I think. Well, off you go, and all the best. If Caesar's not going, or I'm not going on, I'll wait for him. Like, you can't do that. Like, hey, the crowd. Yeah, so the crowd are getting a bit impatient. Can we hold on to the animals any longer? One of the lions has already eaten a panther.
Animals eating each other. Well, I mean, if you're going to starve them and then put them in a spot together, that's going to happen.
It's quite likely. And I don't want to go on. I said, oh, that's all right. We're always dealing with beginners in this job. I love the fact they're being like living like divas, not refusing to go off. It's like, gods. And there we go. This isn't the kind of place that if you want to go and fight, do it in the arena. Let's listen to the crowd. For pity's sake, he's just begging them to go on. They go out. It says, this lion here is eating all the other animals. Where are all the other animals? Inside that one. Everybody out by Jupiter. That mix up gave us a good cover, but it seems like we've so we got to find somewhere. Never find somewhere to have some sleep here. It's kind of crashing in a
doorway, and then brigands appear. Now, and obviously Obelisk is now on his third night of no sleep, so he's getting
very cranky with them.
Yeah, I will say this one. These two middle rows on this page, the artwork in the last panel of the top row and the second one, I'm getting Castel Sant'Angelo vibes from them. The positioning there is giving me that kind of statue stuff that's there, and this bridge very much does look the part.
I'm trying to Castel Sant'Angelo. I'm trying to remember that one. Which one's that?
The one that's linked to the Vatican, the Hadrian's tomb.
Oh, Hadrian's. Yeah, I thought it was. I wasn't quite sure. It was. Yeah. Yes, that's right. It's right on the banks of the Tiber.
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah, I do remember that because that was Hadrian's mausoleum originally. That wasn't it?
It's meant to be Hadrian's mausoleum, but obviously.
And so they go. See the fact they're taking them into the catacombs here as well. So So I generally associate they're often associated with like the early Christians or whatever hiding down there, but I don't know how if that's a bit exaggerated or not, how much it was a thing
I
for the
mean,
Christians. But
if you've got nowhere to go and you want to go somewhere dry, reasonably warm and undercover, there's a lot worse you can do than the catacombs.
Yeah.
I don't imagine it was just the Christians down there.
No.
I'd be very surprised if it was. And you've got to remember as well, the catacombs, if you like, where the bodies were placed, were dug into the wall. And sort of small alcoves dug in and things. So if there's an empty one in there, you're not really gonna.
Yeah.
When you've got no other option.
So these yeah.
See why.
So really, these thieves are taking the Asterix and Obelix in now, and then the following night they're out, and they come across a drunk who they're going to attack and beat. And then of course it's the son of their old their owner here, the drunk one.
Yeah.
I collected those old works of art and houses. Oh, not I'll never part with you again like that. Drink to. And says he's a friend. Nobody's gonna harm him. And so the guys will soon see about that. There go the thieves. And it says Caesar's returned from his campaign against his pirates. Tomorrow will be there'll be a triumph, so he'll be parading them through the city.
And he will have his laurel wreath for a triumph, because that's what laurel wreaths were for.
Yes. And it seems like the slave who sold them out was made a special slave to Julius Caesar as a reward, which is I'd have thought freedom would have been a better reward, but that's just me. But
yeah, it's complicated because of the nature of Roman slavery. But arguably, slaves in high-end households doing jobs that weren't pure menial labor, who actually had some education, had arguably, from an objective monetary standpoint and from an objective lived experience standpoint, a better quality of life than a lot of the poor of Rome. Of course, they were slaves, and there's no discounting the psychological impact of that at all. But on paper, looking at it, would you rather be slave to an upper-class household or a poor Roman? Well, if you're in an upper-class household, you're going to be fed, you're going to get clean clothes, you're not going to go hungry.
Probably somewhere better to sleep, like living quarters.
Well, not so much living quarters, but you would have had a clean pallet with some sort of fur or blanket. You would. You'd have a job to go to. You'd have access to. Have access to baths. You'd be able to. Most slaves were allowed to go to the baths in the afternoons. So there's a real.
You get a better class of misery.
It's a lot more comfortable to cry in a Mercedes than on a push bike.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing that's going on there.
So they actually bump into this guy, and their old guy who sold them out. He says, "I can explain." He thinks they've come here to beat, to get revenge on him.
Beat him up, yeah.
He explained to them, "I was afraid you were going to take my place and make me redundant, effectively. I'm really sorry." He says, I hear you're close to Caesar now. And he says, "Not after tomorrow. I shall ride in his chariot at his triumph." In his chariot. Yeah, whenever there's a triumph, Caesar has one slave who has the job of holding the laurel wreath above Caesar's head. Tomorrow, that will be me. Caesar's laurel wreath. That's wonderful by two episodes. And so they got they got an idea. It says, "You."
This just amuses me.
Yeah.
So they're going to swap out the laurel wreaths, and Asterix sends for some bay leaves, but they don't have any. So, parsley will do.
Yeah. And Obelix is drunk again.
Yep. So Asterix has ordered their hangover cure.
Yep. So the street near Caesar's Paris. Here he comes. So that's Julius Caesar's laurel wreath. He's snatched it for them.
Yeah, mind this next panel.
And okay. So very quickly then, we did say Caesar was holding a great triumph. Again,
that includes showing off slaves.
Yeah. Well, we did say he was fighting a campaign against pirates, so you can take a guess which pirates are. I'll skip over the picture, but you get the idea. But it's our pirates, but of course we know what one of them was drawn like. So
the only thing about that is at the bottom, Caesar with the parsley wreath held above his head, thinking to himself, "That's funny. I feel like a piece of fish." Which, if you've ever cooked fish, that's parsley sauce and fish. Can't knock it. So
we're getting right. Back. They're back in the village, and actually Vital Statistics has won this bet, and he's invited his brother-in-law who he hates. Says, "You may be rich, but I bet you never get to eat anything like that in your house." Like seasoned with Caesar's. True, it's a bit overcooked, and it wasn't a very prime cut of meat. Vital, so he's not even impressed whatsoever with this, and he's still like, I'm better. So Vital Statistics finally had enough, and probably just does what he should have done with him. This snotty brother-in-law of his straight away from the beginning.
Clocked him one.
Yeah, which is probably would have just saved a lot of aggro for everyone, all the characters of this.
And then this final block amuses me because the adventures of Asterix and Obelix was to have consequences as serious as unexpected. From now on, having the recipe for a remedy against the excesses of drinking, the Romans began to indulge in orgies of wine, which led to the decline and fall of the empire. Be warned, alcohol, unless taken in moderation, is the father of all vices. Perfectly true.
That's actually says perfectly true.
Perfectly true. Yeah.
The implication is that whoever wrote that's been drinking.
Yeah. So.
And I love the little thing there that Cacophonix is saying to him, "Do you sing as well?"
Yeah. I will say, please don't ever say that that's the cause of the decline of the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
That's up there with Gibbon and his claim that it was the fault of immigrants. It's just, let's not. There is an argument that the lead in the pipe was slowly poisoning the population.
It's like arguing that smoking killed the dinosaurs, quite frankly. Though, in all honesty.
I mean, there would have been examples of people drinking to excess, developing illnesses.
I'm going to put us full screen again. There we go.
Yep. And there will have been examples of it, drunkards, etc., but it would not have been widespread. There were some, as there always is in every generation, writers, political voices who claimed, that excess and, these young people don't know they're born, and boomers, basically.
Yeah.
There was always that, and there was always going to be that. regardless of what area you're in, because people always look to the past with rose-tinted glasses. It's the way it works.
Yes, indeed. It's very...
So that's I think that's what that's getting at. Again, as I said, the Romans were known for watering down their wine. In fact, the Romans thought the Gauls were drunkards because the Gauls didn't water down their wine. And with the Romans as well, wine was a staple drink.
Yeah.
You know, it was not you drink it on a regular basis. You drink it with kind of like beer in sort of 1800s, not 18th century, 1800s America. You give it to kids with their breakfast, you know, because it was safer than water, quite frankly.
Yeah, well, that's ironically, this is almost how they ended up discovering that cholera was waterborne disease. Actually, in London, they found like one group of workers that seemed to be immune from catching cholera, and when there'd been a big effort was the brewery workers, because I think they believe before that the common thinking was cholera was not a waterborne thing; it was like a miasmic thing.
Yeah.
But obviously the fermenting process killed the cholera, so a lot of the brewery workers, of course, were drinking drinking beer and not water.
Yeah. Just like you are, Jeff.
I'm drinking cider, actually, but
it's still fermented.
Yeah.
But yeah, fermented drinks, boiling the water. You know, this is why they think that in China there was such a discrepancy between China and sort of Mediterranean empires in life expectancy, because tea drinking was such a big thing.
Yeah.
They were boiling the water. They will have boiled out a lot of the impurities. So Obelix being a bit of a lightweight is kind of there is a basis for it in history.
Yeah.
So it's fun in that regard. Final thoughts, Jeff?
Yeah, enjoyable book, I thought.
Yeah.
Enjoyable book. A little bit different as well from perhaps some of the adventure, just in the way they've. I mean, this is one Asterix doesn't even. They do not. Asterix himself does not want to be on this blooming thing whatsoever.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're really just there because of the drunken big mouth talk of the Chief and Obelix between the two of them, and then
I think as well, this is the first time they've had a real sort of MacGuffin going on here, because the laurel wreath is literally a MacGuffin. There's no practical use for it, and they only want it because everyone wants it.
Yeah.
So that's
it's I mean, a lot of good jokes. I thought with the a lot of like jokes about the slave jokes were quite funny, and just I mean, as I said, it's almost I don't know. A lot of it did kind of remind me of Monty Python type of stuff in a way. The way that so yeah, I thought quite an enjoyable one. Again, some brilliant artwork of this like Rome by Uderzo in this as well.
And the sort of jokes on slavery and stuff was what I was getting at when I commented on satire at the start of the stream.
Yeah.
A lot of satirization of things. The idea that, you know, this young Roman man who's a bit of a drunk, bit of a wastrel, as his father put it, again, kind of, for the first couple of years when young men took the toga, they were kind of expected to be a bit, you know,
bit rowdy.
bit rowdy.
Yeah,
because before they settled down.
boys will
So
be boys kind of thing. But
yeah,
after a while, you're expected, which is, I suppose, similar. I suppose in a certain way, it's similar. Some similar expectations, social expect. Like
yeah,
young lads, it's like, young boys will be boys kind of thing. But when they're sort of doing the same shit in their 30s and 40s, it's like, you need to grow up.
yeah. No, exactly.
So similar
Um,
attitude today.
and that was it. The idea. There was a concept of them getting sort of almost it created a kind of, they were expected to behave in a way that they were almost drunken on freedom, because when they
Yeah,
first took the toga, they were first men. It's the exact same thing where we say, it's not surprising when someone goes to college, someone goes to university and spends the first semester getting absolutely slaughtered.
yep. That's
Um,
college. That's
I,
uni for
I
yeah.
I was good. I didn't do that much.
Yeah,
Much.
yeah, much being the
um, but yeah, it's that sort of thing. But by your second semester, your second year, you're expected to have settled down and got your head down,
yeah.
kind of thing. So it makes sense. Again with the son, probably the son's outgrown that socially acceptable phase, and the father's getting irritated.
Yeah, it's kind of like, right, it's about time you started growing up now, boy, and started taking some responsibility, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So okay,
So that's
so
that one.
the next one, and I'm gonna say the next one in the series, which will be on my channel should be next week. Asterix and the Soothsayer is
I
the
remember
next
you
one.
telling me you were looking forward to this one.
I think it was
Do
Caesar's
I?
Gift was the one Caesar's Gift and Obelix and Co. are definitely, but I do seem to remember. I'm sure I've read this one. I got a kind of an idea about this book actually. I do think I know the plot to this quite well. Um,
So
yeah.
yeah. So
So
that's Asterix and the Soothsayer next week over on Jeff's channel. This afternoon, you've got Media Musings with Ring on his channel in half an hour, and they're talking Gulliver's Travels. So again, more
yep,
satire for you to enjoy. And I know he's been reading it. Anyone who follows his Twitter will know he's been reading it. So do head on over there and check that out. I don't think I'm on this week. I think I said I wasn't on this week. Ringer's just nice and helpfully put the link to Media Musings in the chat. So
yep.
do head on over there when
That'll
we're done
be,
here.
be about 25 minutes or so due to start, I think.
Yeah.
So
So that gives you enough time to grab a drink,
yeah,
grab a snack,
yep.
go read the
And
Wikipedia page on Gulliver's Travels.
and sub to Ring's channel as well if you're not already sub to him.
Yeah, do sub to him. Do go over, give that video a like. Make sure you sub and like this one as well. And we will catch you next week.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Jeff, anything you want to sub?
No, I haven't got nothing to really I'm nothing to really plug this this week. I've been there's been a few things I've been wanting to do with my channel. I just haven't had time to this week to sort of do some of the things I wanted to do. But hopefully in another week or two I'll be able to get some stuff sorted, to be honest. So start getting one or two of the interviews I want to get done on my channel. But
Well, we're looking forward to that, and sub to Jeff's channel as well, so you can make sure you don't miss those. Apologies today for the fact that my tongue has been misbehaved and I've been using the wrong words left, right, and centre. My dyslexia just doesn't like me deal with it. I have to. So with that, I think we've done the shilling. We've pointed you out towards Media Musings. So just taglines left, I think, Jeff.
yeah, no taglines from me. Just salute. See you guys later. So
Yep. And as always, from me, take care, be good, and if you can't be good, be careful.